guest, Nandi Sindelar. We appreciate you.
Good morning.
It's great to have you in Studio 255, a new guest into our old historic mathematics class. Did you attend the school here?
I was born in Wisconsin and raised
Where at in Wisconsin?
Eau Claire.
Eau Claire.
And raised in the East Bay area of California.
You where are you at on the hand? Right there, yeah.
Dead
Door
center.
County up in the thumb. Right?
Dead center for me.
What's your story? How did you make it to Laramie, Wyoming?
I got my discharge and from the Army, and this is as far as the truck ran.
What did you do? What was your MOS in the military?
It was so messed up. It just the government messed up all my. I went in to do electronics repair. And my contract was for Germany, and they sent me to electronics repair because that's where they needed people in Germany. And I got to the school like 3 days after the class started. After I followed my orders, and that's when I arrived. Class already started, so I dinked around for a while, and then they started me into a catch-up class. And just as I was getting caught up, they said, "Oh, that's a combat area radar surveillance repair." These were like smaller than 55-gallon barrel things that NAM was still going on. Mm-hmm. Okay, to pick up movement,
right,
without having to leave people out there all the time. Oh, that's a combat MOS. You can't have it had combat in the title. I'm sure I'm carrying an oscilloscope and a power supply and a rifle all at the same time out of my clean room, you know. So they pulled me out of that, and I bounced around. I was a mail clerk for a while. I learned a lot about how the postal system works. And I was a security guard at a top secret place, and I made sure the building didn't walk away all night, and that was nice. That gave me the opportunity in the daytime to go to the craft shops, to go explore the countryside, and swap shifts enough so that I didn't have to take leave. I had a big old chunk of leave built up, which once you've got it built up, it's nice. And they finally realized, she's not going to have an MOS in a year, so we'll have to let her go. So they sent me to truck driver school at Fort Ord, when Fort Ord was still there.
Right.
So at that time, it was 64 Charlie. And then they sent me to Fort Meade, Maryland. They didn't need any more truck drivers. They were just starting to computerize all this stuff. This in the 70s. And they didn't have all the bugs out yet. And so I ended up being a mail clerk for a year at Fort Meade, Fort George G. Mudd.
So what exactly brought you to Laramie, and what do you enjoy doing today?
I had a boyfriend in New York, in Manhattan, and that didn't work out. And so I got in my truck, I loaded up everything I owned, and I headed west because I was going back. That's what I knew, was go back to California, where I first entered the service.
Familiar territory. Okay.
Familiar territory, and wasn't in a big hurry. I had money in my pocket, and I had money sitting in a bank account back in Maryland that I hadn't withdrawn before I left. And so the truck died up in Centennial. And I ended up having a cracked distributor cap.
Okay.
It was a little Datsun pickup truck. And I did not recognize that because I wasn't that far along in my learning how to fix vehicles. I'd put a clutch in, I'd changed oil, I'd done a brake job, but I hadn't done a lot of engine stuff. I knew how to set the timing, I knew how to use a matchbook and set the points, and I could get by like that. But I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get it running. And I got up to Centennial, and then I rolled back into town, and I worked in Arlington for a little while, and tuition here was cheap. And that's why I had done my 2 years.
Right.
Was to get that. And I get my residency here, and I've still got 9 years of GI Bill farming to do. And so I went, settled down. And by the time I finished using up my GI Bill, all 45 months of it, if you play it right, I had a bachelor's degree. And I liked Laramie, and I knew enough people now that I could find my way around. I knew to.
And what'd you get your baccalaureate in?
Social sciences.
Okay.
It's like the humanities and sociology and some art. And I had some life sciences like biology, and I took geology, and I took I took what I wanted to take and took just enough classes to keep the GI Bill happy, which, being growing up just in the Bay Area in the late 60s, early 70s, coming of age, that was the model I had.
Got to play your cards right.
Got to play your cards right. Learn as much as you can. I mean, they can put me in jail. They can take all my money and bankrupt me, but they can't take away my education. They can't take away my thinking and my ability to think and to read books and that knowledge is the most valuable thing you've got.
Beautiful.
That way.
Well, you have been in Laramie then how long?
1976.
Okay.
Oh, that was just my second degree was nursing, but I wasn't able to practice.
Okay.
But I learned what are called critical thinking skills, something that is right now on the chopping block in our political system right now, because people who think don't always go along with what the powers that be say.
Not always welcome to be a free
We are
thinker.
not always welcomed.
No. So when you go about your day today in Laramie, Wyoming, what keeps you busy?
Oh, right now my car's in the shop, so I have to babysit that.
2003 Camry in the shop.
No, 1989 Camry in the shop.
In the shop, okay.
So I'm going to babysit that. I am going to continue researching for the Traffic Safety Commission on Thursday's meeting. I have finished researching what they're doing with the sidewalk inventory that they finished. That's going to be at City Council tonight, and I'm going to go pay attention to that.
Talk about this, the City Council's consideration tonight in a work session, the topic that you bring up. What's generally being presented?
There's a company out that they got these little, they've got vehicles like cars, and then they've got kind of like golf cart things that scan using electronics, all the stuff that we didn't have when I was growing up. And they've taken an inventory of the condition of almost 200 miles of sidewalk that we have in Laramie. 198 point something or other miles of sidewalk that we have in Laramie. And I'm not sure what exactly they're going to do. That's up to city councilors. They will ask questions. There's going to be a presentation with a slide deck, and then the city councilors will ask questions.
What's at stake? What's on the horizon of possibility, given this data, given this information? What can we do with it in our community to make Laramie better?
Well, first, I'm hoping that we own the data and not it doesn't belong, and we have to pay more
a subscription every
or a
time we want
subscription. And if
access.
we don't pay, I'm hoping that we own the data. I don't know if we do.
That's a
That
great
is
point.
totally. I didn't see it in the presentation, and I haven't seen it in any of the looking I did at when they said let's do this. That was a couple of years ago because they've done the street inventory, so we know what condition all our pavements are in.
And being on this Traffic and Safety Commission, how often do you guys meet?
Once a month, second Thursday of the month, 3:30.
Those open meetings?
They are public meetings. We're on Zoom. You can go back and look. If you go to the city's agenda page, you can pull up every one of them. You can watch the Zoom. There's usually an audio recording of it.
Fantastic.
It's easier. The Zoom is easier to watch in that you can see who's actually speaking, whereas the audio recording, you're guessing.
Yeah.
And my voice always sounds different on the recording than it does in my head. And it's set up in the usual public meeting style. We have call to order. Do we approve the minutes? Do we approve the agenda?
Where did you say these meet?
Out at the North.
That nice facility.
The North Castle, yes.
The North Castle.
That's what I call it. Well, that's kind of a military that folds into, I did almost 24 years, so.
Okay.
So, yeah, I understand that vocabulary, that lingo. And it's...
Well, you talk about
we call it the Crystal Palace over in Cheyenne.
You talk about the data that was available to your commission and your group.
Okay, the street data. Every inch of our streets, what condition that pavement is in. Is it in good shape? So basically, maybe a few potholes, patch here and there, seal a few cracks. It's going to be good for a while. Is it deteriorating? And how far has it deteriorated? We think of
That's
streets
remarkable.
by the linear distance,
Okay.
linear miles, blocks. We pay for them by the square footage. A wider street costs more to repave than a narrow street. And streets, what have we got for infrastructure? We got streets, we got water systems, sewer systems. We've got privately provided electricity, gas, and those companies, you pay for that, the upkeep on that with your bill. City water, we pay with water bills. City streets come out of the general fund. We don't have a tax for streets. Fuel taxes only go for highways. So how do we maintain our streets so that the streets are in as good a shape as possible, so we don't have the expense of broken down springs in cars and busted tires and such, with the least expenditure? And once the street starts to deteriorate, you got to get on it and get it fixed.
Save it before the point of no return.
Because eventually reaches the point where you have to tear the whole thing up and start over, and that, ka-ching, ka-ching, that spins your meter. So it's sidewalks. You have different things that are going to damage a sidewalk. Trees. But nobody wants to walk on a sidewalk that's in the sun as hot as, it's going to be 90-something degrees today. And people are always going to walk on the shady side of the street.
Absolutely.
But the trees, the tree roots do the thing on the sidewalks.
Right.
So
Up and down Grand, we've seen it a lot.
Grand,
Ivinson, all the treed area.
every place where there's trees.
Yeah.
But we want to have, we are Tree City, USA.
It's a beautiful town. We have so many attributes. How is accessibility in your eyes for the city of Laramie? How accessible is our community?
People going from where they are to where they want to be. It's not driving your car, being in a wheelchair, being on foot, being on a bicycle, e-bike, scooter, whatever. It's, can you get from where you are to where you want to be and hopefully enjoy the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Sam could have told you a whole lot more about points.
Sure.
As I can't think of the word now. As an example, they finished last year a piece of non-motorized trail, like the Greenbelt. They call it Greenbelt. It's non-motorized trail that goes around the corner at 30th and Spring Creek. It was only like 4 or 5 blocks that they did. I have gone up there in the middle of the night and seen people walking and
using
it all
right.
24/7.
Right.
And that little piece of connectivity that gets you up to 30th Street without having to deal with Grand Avenue. If you're not in a car, you don't want to be on Grand Avenue. I mean, there's traffic, it stinks, there's exhaust, there's noise. Noise is a stressor that hurts humans. It's nice and quiet in here. This is nice. You know, I know when I go out in the street out there, somebody in either a loud motorcycle or an 18-wheeler.
Coal buster.
Yeah.
Burning coal, yeah.
Rolling coal. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out on Grand Avenue.
So when you mention Spring Creek area, that 4 blocks is really, really powerfully important.
It connect connectivity. Yeah. It allows people. I live downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I can go clear out to LCCC, the big box store, and beyond on my bicycle without having to deal with fighting traffic where I don't have access to like a traffic light or a traffic control device. From downtown, I can go up I would go up Sheridan and then connect to the Greenbelt where it goes up because that's closer for me. And Sheridan has more trees and more shade.
Okay.
In the wintertime, it's a toss-up because Spring Creek tends to melt out sooner because it doesn't have trees, but it has wind.
More breeze, yeah.
In the wintertime, wind becomes a serious consideration on a bicycle. If it's really gusty, I'll take my chance on Sheridan because if there's ice, that crosswind can put you down. You know, I mean, it's the connectivity though that people could get from this side of town up to 30th Street and beyond without having to deal with getting hit by a car.
What personal interest brought you to serve on the Traffic and Safety Commission? What inspired you to do that?
I don't know. A sense of wanting to do something to make things better for people. A sense of, why are we doing it this way? Well, this is the way we've always done it. Well, that's not a good enough reason. Why are we doing it this way? I don't know. I just kind of, it grew on me, you know. Yeah. It's just, it kind of, I could have been an engineer I don't have math. My brain does not wrap around numbers and math. It doesn't. Right. That's not my gift. My gift lies elsewhere. And so finding a way to help people, and I ride a bike everywhere. That's how I keep my good looks. I get to be a 10-year-old at least a couple times a day. A happy 10-year-old.
Good.
Boom, bike. Oh, a curb. Whee! And well, I see issues that make it, you know, I tried to tease out Albany County figures and I couldn't do it because there's too much play. Nationally, over 30% of the people in this country do not drive. Too young? That's a big chunk. Mm-hmm. Too old?
Another big chunk.
Different abilities, disabilities, temporary. I've been temporarily unable to drive. Had an arm in a sling or something and couldn't drive because I couldn't shut the car door. Adjudicated. Mental issues. Unable to afford a car.
30% nationally.
30 point something. Less than 30, between 30 and 31. There's been decimal. I don't remember numbers well. 30%, a third of the people. I did contact YDOT and find out, gathered all the zip codes for Albany County. Yeah, with computers, this is easy now. And they told me how many driver's licenses were issued to Albany County people. I went to if I go to the county, I get number of license plates, licensed vehicles I can get in the county, total number. But how many people do we have that live like in the south part of the county that commute to Colorado? They're not really driving in Albany County. They're doing their business, their commerce, and their friends are mostly Colorado. Right. So how do I count those in? The way North County, they go to Wheatland. How do I count those? You know, I mean, they might be licensed in Wheatland even though they live in Northern Albany County. You know,
do you chair the Traffic and Safety Commission? Yeah. Okay.
And they keep electing me, and it's like
I was going to say 6 others like you. They like to.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going that far. They are willing to let me do the work. It's basically I can't make a motion.
Okay. Maybe that's why they do it.
Yeah. I can't make a motion. There's a lot of other things with this Robert's business that I can't do because I'm
Robert's business. I love
Robert's business. Yeah, I'm a talking stick person. But
how important is public comment in your group of 7? Obviously, you're all public citizens.
Yeah. For me, I cannot speak for this city organization. That's part of the state law.
Right.
On public meetings law.
You got limits.
I've got very much, and I respect those because there's a reason for those.
Good.
For me, I've had my mind changed 180 on a couple of things over the years because of what the people have brought.
And you were open to it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How long is a term when you're elected? How long is the term
We
of service?
elect every January, I think it is, or our
Okay.
first meeting after the first of the year. Because sometimes we may not have something. If we don't have something on the agenda, we don't meet.
What's the longest standing seat held on the committee, the longest term of anybody's service on the Traffic and Safety Commission?
I think we're 3 years, and then we have to. I think it's
3-year limit?
well, it's not. There's no term limit.
Okay.
We are one of the ones that it's harder to recruit people because it takes your first session, your first seating for 3 years to kind of get a handle on what you are looking at and learn to read and understand what's. I'm still learning stuff.
Yeah, I was going to
I've
ask.
been there for. I
was
don't know
going to
how
ask
long.
what kind of orientation are you brought into when you
Not
join
much.
this group?
No,
What do you
there's
have?
not much.
You bring your past history or observations, and
You
that's
bring
it.
your knowledge base. You bring in what you've learned out in the world.
So do city staff make recommendations to the commission on what's considered or what's needed?
The city staff pretty much sets the agenda.
Okay.
The city council chooses who will be on the commission.
Okay.
You apply like any other city job. It's the same city application form with references and how long have you lived here and do you have a driver's license and that kind of stuff. And then several city councilors do interviews, and they tend to bunch them all up. All the boards and commissions. There's like 20 or 30 of them total in the city.
Okay.
And they say, yeah, we think this person will do it, or we're not so sure. And then the city council approves. It's at one of their agenda meetings, and they vote to approve or disapprove. I think it's usually in consent agenda.
So before you came to the talk shop, you put me through a rigorous task. You required me to ask questions in writing that I would ask on the air.
Yeah.
And I haven't asked
Not
two
one
of
of
those.
them.
I haven't
Not one
asked
of
two of them yet. So you brought prepared to answer those questions. Fire away. Share with us a bit of what you prepared for this talk shop. And my questions were really general. They were really how welcoming is Laramie based on accessibility, and you could just make your own observation.
I think
This is your opinion.
attitude of Laramie or of our government, I think, is very positive.
Okay.
I'm also in some other groups and stuff going on, so I pay a lot of attention to city and county government. State government, it's like I'm definitely outvoted there.
How do you follow city council meetings?
I receive both city council and county commission, planning and zoning, planning, disabilities, traffic commission, all those automatically I get the agendas.
Okay.
I'm involved in the Aqua group, the Water Protectors group, so I read the county commission agenda very carefully to see if there's anything in there that would be of concern. And if so, I put it out to other people. Traffic commission, that's shorthand for Traffic Safety Commission because they changed the name like 5 years ago. And since it was created in the 30s, early 30s, I think it's the longest standing, as far as I can tell, the longest standing
Committee.
commission held out by city council, created by city council. I get that automatically because I'm on it. I get my packet.
So you follow with agendas.
I follow with agendas when I get a packet. If we are looking at an intersection, how can we improve this intersection? I physically go out there and pound pavement and look at it. I've been known to go through and ride out my bicycle and sit out there and watch it, ride through it a bunch of times. Sometimes I'll go home and get the car and drive through it, see what it feels like. What is going on here? Watch what people are doing. I love wintertime.
Do you feel like you're alone in that? Do you feel like there's enough doing that? That's a high level of care.
Well, that's why they pay me the big bucks.
I'm appreciative of this. I'm appreciative.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. It's like it's a totally voluntary. There's no remuneration at all. I don't even get my mileage out there.
Okay.
Which is fine. Which is just fine. I like it that way. I mean, it makes it so that there's no possibility that somebody could miss.
Sure.
You know,
No influence, right?
yeah, the influence factor. It keeps
Right.
that. It keeps that. So it's not even there. You know, which is important.
So you're a hands-on,
I'm a hands-on.
practical witness, and when you're asked a question, when you review a packet, you go on site and
Yeah.
you take a personal look. You take that
It's
personal
kind of
vantage point.
expected. Some
Yeah.
people Google map it. I've Google mapped intersections and stuff like, okay, we're doing safe routes to school. We've got
Preliminary look, I Google it. Right?
yeah, I drive around it on the Google machine.
Okay.
And then I go around the other way and look at it. You know, what is in the field of view? What are people seeing? Where I've got a map, what does the cross street look like and like that. Then I go jump on my bicycle. If the schools are in session, I go and I try to catch it when the kids are coming and leaving school, because that's when the
Impact times,
issues
yeah.
are, and talk to the teachers that are standing out there traffic guard. I talk to the principal. Because
What are important elements from your perspective that'll be considered tonight at the city council meeting with regard to the Traffic and Safety Commission's work that you've done without violating your commitment?
well,
but
the TSC has not really looked at this sidewalk inventory. It was just completed. We haven't had a chance to look at it.
so this
I
will
don't
be a
know if we will
presentation
look at
this
it.
evening,
This is a presentation tonight. It's non-voting. It's a work session.
right?
And looking at their slide pack, it's basically, this is what we found. This percentage of sidewalks need repair or building. This percentage of sidewalk is passable easily. This percentage of sidewalk we need to kind of clean up, get the weeds out, you know, that kind of stuff. That's what they're going to look at.
Overall condition, your
Overall, and
observation.
how
How
many-
are we doing?
Yeah, that's what they're going to look at.
How do you think we're doing? Your opinion. Obviously, there's always more that can be done.
We've been doing, if you're going to repair the sidewalk, you put in the ramps. Okay, here's somebody, it's a block. Somebody like Sam comes up, gets up on the sidewalk, comes here. He's got to turn around, either find a driveway to get off or go back to the corner to get off, because he can't get off down here.
Right. Impassable.
And then, so now he's taking the street, and our streets have so much crown to them that you give yourself a push and you go to the gutter. You give yourself a push, you're swimming uphill the whole time. There was a fellow that used a chair to live down the street from me. He went right down the smack middle of the street, because then he was at the top of the crown. And that was the easiest for him.
Right.
I ride a bicycle. I know how much energy it takes to start from a stop as compared to doing like almost, I can't do a complete track stand. I'm not that good, but I can slow way down and wait for my turn at a four-way stop instead of, doing the
Handlebar jiggle. Yeah.
the handlebar jiggle, yes. And I'll wait until it's my turn. If cars don't give me a turn, I make a circle, because it's like playing hockey. You don't stop. You keep moving,
Always
because it's easier to change direction than it is to start
Dead
up.
start.
And when you've got an engine doing that for you, you don't realize that. So using as little energy as possible for someone, they're going to take the crown of the street rather than going along the parked cars and having a fight up, just keep going uphill to use more energy. So we need to make our sidewalks so that every corner is accessible. The standards are changing. They used to be you just made the corner so it didn't have a curb.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd make one ramp, because that was cheap, instead of one ramp here and one ramp at right angles.
Two directional, right?
Yeah. And because the problem with that diagonal ramp is it puts you out into traffic. We look at how do we put blue curb spots downtown and around places.
That might be something that many would overlook. What's the value of a perpendicular entry to cross a street as opposed to a diagonal 45-degree into the center of an intersection?
Two perpendiculars, one for each direction.
Yeah. That's the standard today.
In that situation, I listen to the people that have experienced that. You know, my jumping on my bike and going to the corner and going to the street. I try not to ride sidewalks. That's because that's for pedestrians. Is different from someone who is using their arms. Our arms don't have the musculature that our legs do. So
what do you call the asphalt to the gutter itself? What do you call that differential? Many times you'll see a ridge that
a turkey.
It's not a small.
We're on radio and Facebook. I won't tell you. I won't use the language that's true. It's
like sometimes 4 or 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some streets that are the grade is amazing.
And okay, we are car normative, automobile normative. I got this little button here of Elmer Lovejoy.
Okay.
The Historical Society says he built the first motorized vehicle in Wyoming to haul his bicycles from the train off to his bike shop downtown. There's a photograph if you get on, just search Elmer Lovejoy. You've seen it with a stack of bicycles in the trailer. Yeah.
Yep.
We, in the last 100 years, we've done so much to be vehicle car normative. You know, you've heard about the ripping up the streetcar lines. So we could use buses. Firestone and GM and Ford and those people were involved in that. We argue over whether we should have a bike lane nationally, because that might take away a car lane. 30% of the people are not in those cars.
Right.
30%. That's almost a third of Americans aren't in those cars. One category we left off is people in New York. I've lived in Manhattan. You don't need a car. You take the subway, you take the bus. You don't even think of having a car. You have to move it every day, too. It's such a big deal to build a bike lane. But we think nothing of adding a car lane. We are car normative. You look at your headlines. Somebody got hit by a truck. We've got our 58th highway death. And the next line is where that compares to last year's. Not why are people dying on the highway. It's we expect that 100 and some people.
We expect some deaths. How did we change? What's the trending line?
What's the trending line? And it's going up.
Right.
But we expect deaths. You know, we don't expect boating deaths. We don't expect dishwashing deaths. We don't expect cooking deaths. We don't expect a lot of lawn mowing deaths. We know, people are going to do stupid things. They're going to hit something, it'll fly off and bust a window or whatever. But vehicle deaths, we compare it to how many we've had so far this year. This is our first vehicle death of 2000 and whatever year. We're looking to exceed last year's. And we act like it's normal. It's not.
It's one of those things we take for granted, isn't it?
Yeah. And
don't even consider.
So making our sidewalks so that it's good for people to be able to walk on them without tripping. They did a thing downtown. You've noticed maybe where they ground the sidewalks?
Seen that, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that neat? You're not tripping over the sidewalk downtown anymore. And the other day when I was up Washington Park for the 4th, they've done the sidewalks with the concrete where they have it internally in Washington Park. And it shows up.
It looks like they try to normalize it to about a 30-degree incline on the transition.
Well, I don't know about the incline, but they made it so that you don't trip over.
Much smoother.
It's much smoother. There's some downtown ones that are honking big.
Yeah,
where they ground.
They're just cliff. It's like an
They
edge.
check out the cliff.
Right.
Now, so it makes it easier for what does it
cost to do that kind of? What does it cost to do that kind of transition, Nancy? edge by edge, spot by spot?
What does
are
it
we looking at?
What does it cost not to do it?
Good.
Some person with a walker that
Public
can't
safety, isn't it?
that
Public
can't
safety.
get from here to the door over there because there's a bump and they can't see that well, they don't see the bump. If we make the world good for the elderly and safe for children, it's better for everybody.
Right.
And hopefully we're all going to be elderly. I want to be I'm old, but I'm not elderly yet. I'm not that decrepit yet. I don't want to be tripping over the sidewalk 10, 20 years from now if I'm still around. And if that makes it better for me, it makes it better for you, and it makes it better for somebody I've never met.
Where do you prioritize public safety in governance versus all of the roles of government? Where do you prioritize public safety?
We all are better off when we're all better off. My mother, before she passed, she lived in Santa Fe. The place she lived at, I could stay there when it was my turn to come down and look after her. I didn't have internet there. I'd have to use her phone line and do dial-up, right? Now, she passed in 2003, so Wi-Fi was not a really big thing back then, but there was Wi-Fi. And the old XP days, and I would go to a coffee shop 3-4 blocks over.
You've got mail.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have AOL. But I would go to a coffee shop. And in that what they have the best security system. Santa Fe is a town with people who's got more money than what's good for them. And people that don't have enough and are worried about where their next meal's coming from, where they're going to sleep tonight. How do they keep their children safe? How do they pay for getting their kids a shot because they need vaccines? All that stuff, all that stress from not having enough. So what happens is this coffee shop, what they would do, they closed up at like 8 o'clock at night, 7, 8 o'clock at night. They would give away whatever coffee they had left. You had to bring your own bottle, your own jug or whatever. The breads and the bakery items and any food that they hadn't served that day, they just, here, have it, take it. Got some good bagels that way. They kick everybody out, but they put, and outside they had those cheap plastic resin chairs and tables.
Okay.
Outlets, they put a whole row of outlets along the front of the, these guys had big, huge plate glass windows. That's vulnerability, right?
Wired.
They had but along the bottom, there were all these outlets, all these chairs and tables, just cheap plastic stuff. And they left the Wi-Fi on. And there were old guys out there watching their porn all night long being scary. That whole shopping center never had break-ins, never had vandalism, broken windows. No, because there were eyes on the street.
Always traffic.
There was not traffic. When you think of cars,
Eyeballs.
it was eyes on the street. You go downtown at night, and even Jubilee days, most people behave themselves pretty well, even if they've tipped up a few, because they don't know how many people are watching upstairs. There's public safety for you. Mm-hmm. Eyes on the street. Now we use cameras. Now we come home, we drive into our garage, the door shuts behind us, and we go in the house. Where you don't have all those garages, people park out front, they say hi to their neighbors. People are looking. Whereas when you use the garage, there's less eyes on the street. So that's public safety. When you have the zoning that makes one area industrial and over here is residential, residential is much more secure than that industrial because there's no eyes on the street at night. Unless people are working 24/7 someplace, coming and going, you don't have as much security. A lot more. When you separate it out
So
there's good things separating it so that if you have a toxic something or other, it's not wafting into the neighborhood. But having reasons people have for going somewhere. Downtown, I go down at night till 8 o'clock. I can go down to the co-op and get me Get me some ice cream, So I'm eyes on the street.
And that's more immediate because you see it, you report it, you're active in it, and that's much more immediate than a camera capturing it, perhaps.
And the cops trying to figure out who's that little fuzzy picture in there because the quality stinks.
Right. It's a witness, right? It's good.
And and then the next person walking down the street feels more secure. So we've got more people walking down the street. Maybe late night meal, buckhorn, maybe, I don't know. But there's people moving around. It makes all of us more secure, more safe.
Well, that's fantastic. When I think government role, I think public safety, city services. I'm way more concerned about public safety than I am any of the other public services that come. And I know that's.
You mean like recreation parks and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all of them. It's way more to me that public safety is not to be compromised. It's not to be compromised.
Public safety is.
But it's also an
clean
illusion.
Water
it's
to
also
drink.
It's also an illusion. You can't necessarily be 100% safe, can you?
No, I mean I don't know what's going on in your head.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're thinking.
right.
Who
does?
We don't.
I look in the mirror and I wonder.
Yeah, a clean water supply, which we are blessed with. That is public safety. The fact that I can get on my phone and call dispatch and an ambulance comes right away, that saved my life one time. Saved it twice. It saved my life.
Yeah.
Because we had good, trained people that that have their act together on the ambulance, on the fire truck. That's public safety. One of the things I work on is I live downtown. It's Jubilee weekend. It means that if I don't get my car back from the guy working on it right now and get it parked in front of my house, I'm not going to park it there until Sunday. I'm going to have to find someplace else to put my car, to store my car, probably out back or something. And that happens on Fridays. It happens on Jubilee. And that's what you have to live with. I deal with it. Okay. They have the beer fest, and then they have the dances and stuff down there. And a couple of city cops will be on bikes. They'll be watching the people at the dance or watching the people at the beer fest. That's not where the trouble is, because there's a lot of people around. What I've worked on is have those officers on their bikes. Instead of standing there astride a bike, that's not... You got a bike, man. Enjoy it. They don't get out of their cop cars enough. Get them on their
Gumshoe. Get on the street.
Get them on a bike because they're more mobile. Mm-hmm. Have them go down the alley. Have them go down 1st Street, 2nd Street, maybe 3rd Street. No, the people don't. Nobody. I'm loving the construction because there's no traffic much. I can get across 3rd Street. I can go to the places I want to go and not have all that noise and pollution and. But they don't have to spend all their time in the neighborhoods, but just so they're seen. You know,
Visibility.
It's visibility. It's working. It's seeing each other and working in community that makes it a safer.
You mentioned water quality, and the Drinking Water Quality Report is now available online. It's the annual 2024 water report, and this is available online at cityoflaramie.org/2024 CCR. If you would like a printed version, you can also contact the City of Laramie Utility Division at 307-721-5280. And again, the talk shop with that QR code you can scan, and that address available also on the talk shop. We want you to get involved, and we appreciate, Nancy Sindelar, you being involved the way that you are with not only your commission, but you'll be there tonight at the City Council work session, 6 p.m., 406 Ivinson Street.
Avenue.
Is it Avenue?
It is Avenue.
Ivinson Avenue. Thank you for that correction. The City Hall city council chambers, and you can participate. You can have your opportunity to make comments at the beginning of the evening, and then perhaps at the end of the meeting. And along the way, perhaps there'll be interjections available after presentations.
The comment period at the beginning and end of city council is for non-agenda items.
Right.
So
it's a good time. It's a good time to alert.
They will talk about it a little bit. The company will make their presentation, and the councilors will start asking questions, and then they will allow citizens to comment on that agenda item. And
it would be nice
the last agenda item.
It would be nice if that opportunity were allowed after each presentation, but that's not always the case. Having attended since January and before that in 2024, I've witnessed the presentations, sometimes hours of presentations collectively, and city council offers public opportunity at the very end, and it's summative. It's not always as impactful as the discussion that goes on during it, but that's my opinion. It's my observation, and I guarantee you, if more people attend city council meetings, if more people interject and express their viewpoints, their vantage points, our community is going to be better overall.
You definitely. And the thing is, you can get the agenda emailed to you. It's you want one click, it goes to the agenda page, one click, hit the HTML page. You can just go and you see, are there anything in here that is of interest to me?
As a member of the Traffic and Safety Commission, what systems do we need to educate the public about more to increase public safety overall? I've heard people ask, well, are you coordinated with the iPod system? I don't know what the iPod system is. I'm in broadcast and I'm in media, but I got to learn. And as I learn, I want to share my
I don't know what the iPod system
with others. And
yeah.
And so
iPod, then that's something you listen to music on? I mean,
so your comment is reflective of the immediate thought that crossed my mind when one city council member suggested that was possible. Chief Brian Brown also mentioning at Freedom Has a Birthday this particular system. I want people. I want listeners in the audience overall. I want the entire community, as comprehensive as all, in this information age. I want to share that information. I never want to assume that a website or a Facebook post summate our City of Laramie awareness program. I think that is much too basic, much too shallow, and we need depth. We need to be prepared for what about the citizen who has no phone? What about the citizen who has...
Let's back up and look. I think what we're talking about, the iPod, where you get a...
alert kind of deal.
Conglomeration, is that, of where phones are moving around so you can tell where cars are moving around?
Could be.
I'm not... we're getting into stuff that is... I'm thinking that's a useful bit of information, but I have to learn more before I can really... As do I.
And my only thing is that I think that all too often elected representatives consider the public having access as transparency and not enough education in terms of promoting utilization. And I'd like to see participation explode. I'd like to see that. I know when there was a mountain lion reported in Washington Park years ago, I received an alert right on my phone. And I wasn't hooked up to anything but my cell phone provider. I think that's the usability of technology today, and I think that it's powerfully valuable to the community overall. But I still say, back to my other point, how do we alert someone without a phone? How do we alert everyone, barring none?
They had a flood in Texas, and a lot of people didn't even know it. It happened in the middle of the night.
Came in the darkness.
It came in the darkness. I was reading some accounts of that, and it's like, They woke up. There's water here.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out how to escape because they didn't know which way was uphill because there wasn't an uphill there to be hit. They were living in a floodplain.
Sometimes higher ground's not immediately available, and that's when tragedy
What is the
strikes.
higher ground for whatever situation you've got? It may not be physically higher ground, but what is the safer place to be? Where do you go to safety?
Nancy, let's
alert systems like this. This you're outside of my
let's
pay
learn
grade,
together.
for sure.
Let's learn together. I think you have the care that I do as well, and let's learn together. As we learn together, we'll share it with the public. We'll share it with them on the talk shop or any other method that we can. But let's expand that. You and I. Let's start together. How about
What
that?
do you know about this? What can you tell me? So,
Well,
because
I know
may
is-
have more than I do. I know I did talk to Brownie at
What I
the
know
park.
is Chief Brown has extended an invitation to expand my awareness with the talk shop, and in utilizing the talk shop on 93.5 FM, we can expand that a little bit more. As I learn more about it, I'm going to be sharing it in repeated fashion, and I also know that there's an emergency contact, Kate, and I'll look forward to making her acquaintance and introducing her on the talk shop as well. Because each of these people, I didn't even know that Kate existed, right? But I got introduced to it. And my whole effort about 2 weeks ago came after a tornado was sighted in the Albany County area, and I heard no sirens, I got no alerts. I saw a photo on digital media, and I saw a photo of that, and it reminded me of the D-Day tornadoes that came June 6th of several years ago, and they converged on Laramie, and it was basically a viewing spectacle. So many people had so many amazing photos of this because, frankly, in my opinion, they got too close. It was nonsensical. It's like, anybody.
Well, let's run up and
Anybody
see
that
the
challenges
woolly cow.
it, I'm not a storm chaser, so I don't
Yeah.
I don't play one on TV, and I'm not fond of doing that personally. But I've looked at all these pictures. But what brought me to I sent an email to City Council, and I said, would you please update me at the talk shop in this broadcast meeting of all of the safety, list them. Give me the public safety systems and tools that we rely on to uphold public safety in Laramie, Wyoming. And in that, the city council was not immediately responsive. Not one of 9 responded to me in 7 days' time. So at the end of the city council meeting, second time, I went and I followed up, and that's when I got message from Chief Brown, and man, we were clicking along. This is the designee type of thing, and I love that.
I wouldn't have gone to city council with that question. I would have talked to the EMA coordinator.
If I knew that there was an EMA coordinator, I would have gladly done that. You don't naturally know as a citizen exactly what exists. Not all of in my view, I lived in Laramie for more than 20 years. Still, with that time in Laramie, there's positions I had no idea existed. And I don't think that I'm uncommon. I believe that I'm more common than not.
That doesn't, being that it is the norm, doesn't make it the right.
Perfect.
We have a responsibility to know how we're paying them. We voted them in. How is our government being organized?
I've
been a volunteer all my life. I was an EMT for 12 years. I did ride-alongs with Laramie Fire. I did Red Cross for 10 years. I was in the National Guard. I got a whole bunch of ribbons. The one I'm most proud of is the one with the least precedence. It's my 5-day active duty ribbon for the Cheyenne tornado flood hailstorm cleanup.
What year did you get that?
It was in the 80s.
Yeah, following the floods of '79 and
was it, I don't remember what
yeah.
year, but it's people lost their lives in that.
Yeah,
including first responders trying to help other people,
Mm-hmm.
and
one officer drowned
because he was trying to
saving
get somebody,
a youngster
trying to
by
get somebody else.
Mr. Donut back in the day, right where at the time Arthur Treacher's and McDonald's on Yellowstone, right there in that little passway from Westgate front gates. It was a powerful storm, and so much water convened on
And there was damming from all
so
the
much
hail.
time. Yeah, yeah.
And there was, a lot of flooding and a lot of wind damage and the tornadoes. And at the airport, things got torn up. Airplanes got just
Why was that so
trashed.
meaningful? That 5-day certification.
Because
that
I was
5 day?
helping people.
Yeah.
My issue I had with that is the first groups that came in worked up north in Ranchettes and that northern area. We were the last group in, the 133rd, and they sent us to Southside, which is the poorest economically part of Cheyenne, and that's totally backwards. You take care of the least of these first, not the people that have the resources to take care of themselves. They can, our part of the roof's gone, we'll go check into a motel. No, you take care of the people on Southside first. And we went in and I went over there, 5-ton dump. People were supposed to get their stuff out of the house that was damaged, like all the stuff out of the basement, and we would haul it to the dump for them. That's what we were doing. And we did more. In our unit, we did more. Not officially, but we did more.
Yeah.
Disabled people, elderly people. We had.
You've done some amazing stuff, and you continue to do it.
Now, how can I take what I learned from that and apply it somewhere else? How can I take
For the good of all.
How can I take not always for the good of all. Sometimes it's just like, okay, when I was between my junior and senior year in high school, I worked in a bike shop. And I can adjust bearings on I can figure it out how to adjust bearings on a car or a truck or a bicycle. I learned that skill. And I teach kids how to maintain their bikes, how to adjust the brakes. When they're beginning, I don't try to teach them to true wheels. That's you got to be a little older and a little more experienced for that. But to keep their chain oiled and keep their brakes working, and so their
Good
bike
basics.
works better. Just the basics, so that they too can then, they're not how to fix a flat, so that they don't have to rely on mommy in the car. I keep reading things. Kids that spend their time being chauffeured in the car seat, in the back seat of the car, have no sense of their community, how to walk to the store, how to walk to their friend's house 2 blocks down, because they have no mental map. You walk them, you bicycle them, they develop. I mean, there's studies. If you get on the interwebs, you can find these studies that show kids have much more spatial understanding, which we need as mammals, as human beings, in order to study world politics. How do you... And it starts with having them walk to their friend's house instead of being driven to their friend's house.
Mental capacity built up.
Built, yeah. And I add that little snippet of knowledge to this little snippet in there and try to pull them together. That's the critical thinking skills that all our children need to be taught. And you don't have to wait until the college level. You can start with elementary kids, teaching them to step back. Why is this happening the way it is happening?
I asked Sam in an earlier Talk Shop interview, of which you may or may not have overheard as you came in.
I will confess, I have not been a follower of this. There's so much out there to learn from.
That's all right.
That
no worries. But in that conversation, I asked Sam what his perspective was on the widened bulbs along Third and so forth. What's your perspective with respect to those? Have we increased safety with that? It seems like we would, giving people more space at a corner versus not, and snow removal looking like we have a place to downtown businesses to collect snow in the wintertime. That takes a year-round perspective into account. I think that helps public safety as a rule.
What I have one of the things we're just getting into the bulb outs. Third Street's only been open for not even a week yet with them. I tend to cross Third Street. I cross at Sheridan. I cross at Ivinson. In the past, Sheridan, and I've been really getting on YDOT for this, make the light at 3rd and Garfield and the light at 3rd and Russell. Sync them because there's a gap. Those bunches of cars that get released from a traffic light, those are called platoons, and I disagree with that because that implies leadership. But in traffic talk, those are called platoons.
Okay.
And leadership is really important. But there's a gap, and you can get pedestrian, bicycle, you can get across. It's Sheridan and the block on either side of it. You can get across there because the platoon's gap.
Right.
With the bulb outs, they time the traffic light to favor the direction with more traffic. And with YDOT, that's always going to be the state highway, whether it's right or wrong. They favor their state highways, commerce. Are they going to shorten the crossing time because you don't have as far to cross? So that see, now I'm trying to remember a number, and I don't do well with numbers. They figure people walk at a certain speed. That's an able-bodied adult. That's not an old person with a walker. That's not Sam in his chair. That's not me on my bike. Or if I'm walking, because I'm slow walking. It hurts.
That's like 1.2 cars per household. How do we get these numbers?
Yeah,
How do we do it?
Well, what they figure, we've got this many households and this many cars, and we do arithmetic.
Yeah.
And I've been watching Third and Grand for 20-some years on Friday nights. That's been my job since the war in Iraq started. I'm almost done. So, are they going to shorten the crossing time because the distance is less?
What's your opinion? Should we shorten the time
No.
or leave it and be safer?
It will be safer if you make sure there's enough time for the not so fast to get across the street. YDOT told me one time, they've had a whole bunch of meetings on 3rd Street, that the lights timed through downtown are timed at 20 miles an hour. I have been trying to get them to reduce the speed limit, not just for those 4 traffic lights, from Sheridan to Clark.
Expand the 20-mile-an-hour zone.
There's a school at Sheridan. There's a state law that says the speed limit when school is, I don't remember if it's when school is in session or when kids are coming and going, but it must be 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's a school zone. Well, YDOT says, well, the school never contacted us. Excuse me, read the state law. Doesn't say school has to contact you. Doesn't say a kid has to get killed there. Doesn't say any of that stuff. It says
And the primary entrance to St. Lawrence is actually on 4th Street.
Yeah.
Not on
And how many
Sheridan.
kids-
4th and Sheridan, you're right. And then but
it
the
4th and
primary entrance to that former school is in maybe its current school. I'm
But
not
how
sure.
many kids would go to that school that live on 2nd Street? Or come from the west side and walk over the Garfield Street
Walking along
bridge?
the perimeter, you can expect it. So 3rd
know,
Street comes into play.
How many kids' balls go bouncing out onto 3rd Street?
Mm-hmm.
And that ends the kids' game because they have to have an adult go out and get it because they're forbidden to go out there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's not just when school's in session. There's kids in the neighborhood. I go by summertime. There's kids shooting hoops over there. Not often, but or playing Foursquare or, doing that kind of stuff. Playing on the playground, kids hanging around. I hung around the school when I was a kid. It was a safe place to hang around and meet other kids and, play games. And bike polo was our big thing when we were kids. It was bike polo. And that was Stingray bicycles with the high-rise handlebars, and it was bike polo. And we kicked the ball. We didn't have mallets. We just kicked the ball. And
You have to lean down. Boom.
no, you just take your foot off the pedal and boom.
Yeah.
You know? And if you hit it wrong, you flip your bike because it'd jam up your wheel.
Were you wearing a helmet when you were younger?
We didn't have
riding
helmets.
the bikes?
When I was a kid, we didn't have. We had hairnets.
What do you mean helmets, right?
Yeah. What's a helmet? You know, there weren't helmets for riding a bike. There was helmets for playing football. There was helmets for batting. There were helmets for motorcycles. There was no helmets for bicycles. They had hairnets for the professional racers. Those leather ones that had the hairnets, skid lids. They keep you from ripping your skin off. They wouldn't prevent you from cracking your skull. So why can't it's an attractor of children, a schoolyard.
Mm-hmm.
Why not put a school zone there? It's a state law. And they were going to make it 20 through the main part of downtown. Make it the whole thing. It's 8 blocks long from Sheridan to Clark? What the difference between 30 miles an hour and 20 miles an hour is 30 seconds. Commerce in Laramie does not happen with people going from Casper to Fort Collins. They got to stop.
What's the reception been to your calls to Wyoming, state of Wyoming, WYDOT?
It's commerce. We can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. And I can understand where they're coming from because the trucking lobby is very powerful in the state. And they want to go from Fort Collins to Casper as fast as possible. Now, the speed limit everywhere in Laramie is 30 miles an hour unless otherwise marked. Downtown, how often can you do 30 miles an hour? 2nd Street, how often can you do 30 miles an hour on 2nd Street? 15, 20, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Day going to the Elks, you can actually, I did it once for a block. I got up to 30 miles an hour, and I had a friend video my speedometer, and there was stuff going by in the windshield. We set it up, and we see if we could do it. Because people feel safer going slower. Somebody might back out. There's kids, there's dogs, there's people crossing the mid-block. The best way to tell if you have a healthy downtown is jaywalkers. You got people crossing mid-block, they like being there.
Comfortable.
They're comfortable.
Right.
And that's what you look at. It's like in the wintertime, where are people, what are people doing? In the wintertime, it's real easy. You look in the snow. There's car tracks. Oh, most of them turn right here. Very few people turn left here. They're mostly all turning right. Just walk. That's how I do my traffic counts in the wintertime. You know, I can look. How many pedestrians, how many people have walked here? You know, tracks, or no tracks at all.
What do you suggest as you prepare for tonight's work session, the 6 p.m. City Council work session? What do you suggest that what would be helpful to you in your capacity to hear from friends and neighbors regarding tonight's presentation, if anything? What might be most valuable?
I would hope they would at least look at the slide deck that's going to be shown.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot more information than just what's in those slides. It's what the person is saying. That the people, if they're interested, they go look at the slide deck.
Right.
That gives you a general idea of what they're going to talk about. Then, after they've looked at the slide deck, either show up or Zoom, the meeting.
By going by Zoom, you're allowed to raise your hand. And if you go by YouTube, you're able to view. You're able to view, but you're not able to raise your hand, and you're not able to add your input. So that's the advantage of Zoom access, and you can access Zoom in the Agenda Center as the PDF or HTML links allow for you to.
It's either a click
those.
on the link or a cut and paste the link.
That's right. Yep. And I think that's a valuable way to participate. And if you're able, in person, always a powerful way to participate. So this is the Talk Shop, and our guest today, Nancy Sindelarf. And Nancy, you always get the last word in the talk shop, if you don't mind.
When you're done watching City Council,
Yeah.
talk it with your neighbors.
Good.
Bring it. Ask it to be addressed by the Traffic Safety Commission and get it on our agenda and have us chew on it.
When's the next Traffic and Safety Commission
Thursday.
meeting? Thursday. This coming Thursday.
This Thursday, 3:30, out north.
Very good.
It's open to all. And you got to play by the rules, but we're pretty mellow.
Don't be out of order. Gotcha.
We try to get everybody. If they have something to say, we try to listen to them fully. And if we get a lot of people coming in to speak on a subject, we may have to limit the amount of minutes they have, and ask them, instead of repeating what someone else said, come with something new, so that we get all the possible information in a reasonable amount of time.
This segment on the Talk Shop brought to you by Chano's Village with the party platter. And they ask that you call ahead, 307-721-0167. I appreciate Ponciano and your support of the Talk Shop, Ponciano, and 308 South 2nd, the Ben and Rusty, Billy Eckert. We appreciate your support as well. And Nancy, thank you for joining the Talk Shop today. This segment, most valuable. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we barely scratched the surface.
So, like I did with Sam Burkett, I invite you anytime. You come back and we'll talk more, and we'll learn more, and we'll listen. We'll talk, we'll listen, and we'll learn all along the way together.
And when you find out more about that
iPod
thing,
yeah.
You've got my email.
Maybe when I find out more, we can further discover it together. Maybe that'll be valuable for both of us.
And if it is something that is related to, if it's what I think it is and related to traffic, I could have someone who is wise and a good teacher, come out to our meeting and explain it, so that we know, so we have more tools to evaluate what we're looking at.
Nancy Sindelar, today on the Talk Shop. We appreciate you listening.